only thing that is recorded of every people
Right.
is drum.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got a drum.
Right.
Song.
Okay.
And dance. That's it.
That's it.
That's the culture. And you remember a people by those three things.
Right.
Drums, dance, and culture. You go to England, they got the marching drums, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
They do all of that,
Yeah.
you know, and the drums was in every war that there was. You have to have a drummer out there keeping time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. They like them bullets to be flying, but the drummer's out there calling them to, you know. So it's those three things, the drum, the dance, and the song.
Right.
That's what we leave behind.
Every time.
And that's what people pick up. The next generations pick up what your folks left.
Yeah.
If you really got any sense.
Yeah.
You know,
that's
that's
true.
important.
Man, Miller, we're here, man, with Baba J, man, the world traveling historian. You like a griot to the people in this village right here, man, because he got so much knowledge about everything in life. He even taught me a lot. My first pakti pak, you know. He said, come here, youngster, let me show you what to do with this drum. I would just be out here just going crazy, you know what I mean? He said, no, man, you need some structure in your life. You need some vocabulary. That's what you called it,
You need
man.
vocabulary.
Yeah.
You gotta be able to make the hands talk, baby.
Yeah.
And you really got, you know, you was like a fish in water. You just swam and took it so well. But that's what this is. You know, your culture was calling you, and you answered.
Yeah.
See, that's the mighty thing. Is like most people, they don't answer the call.
Yeah.
Because we up under so much white supremacy.
Right.
So much brainwashing.
Right.
So much myths.
Yeah.
So many, you know, ill-gotten stories, you dig, that they have perpetuated. You know what I'm saying? That's what we living up under. So when you reached out for, like, I need this.
Yeah.
This gonna help me. This empowered you.
Mm-hmm.
This going back to your roots empowered you.
Yeah.
And then what it does, it taught you, like, man, this is some culture. So this is a little village where these cats fire away, sing these songs.
Yeah.
They come out and do these dances.
Yeah.
And it all means something.
It did.
And then when you sing that from Mali to South Africa, man, I mean,
I connected with it.
yeah.
Yeah.
And it reflects in your clothes.
Yeah.
The culture reflects in everything you do.
Right.
You dig? It shows. Yeah. These drums here are more than just like, you're going to go beat on them drums, you're going to beat them drums. Nah, the drums represent much more than that.
Right.
It represents a way of life. It represents a way of tradition and culture. Yeah. It's in the fabric.
Look at that.
It's in everything.
The
you understand? Yeah, the textile.
Man.
Well, the reason they came and tried to rape Africans from the West Continent was because the Africans had high cotton culture. Everything they wove, everything they grew and they done was in cotton.
Yeah.
The Europeans came and took them Africans, and cotton became the king of America, and that's what made them their money.
Yeah.
Don't never forget that. It was about the cotton. And America became the cotton king, it was because of your ancestors. And that's science where this comes from.
Yeah.
And that's important to note, because we are a cotton culture.
Yeah.
We are farmers, weavers, blacksmiths.
Right.
You know?
By nature.
I mean, that's how we come up. We came up to take care of the land.
Right. Oh, because that's what was on the land. I understand.
That's what we planted. It's things that we produce to keep our economy efficient and to keep people perpetuating a certain culture.
Right.
You understand?
I definitely do, man.
It's like you took a big drink of water when you embraced that Ponty Pond.
Right.
And it opened up your mind, and it led to these fabulous artists like Carlos Spivey. The dancers is flying over the water. Oh. This embraces the culture. This is how he see the power of the drum. The women are flying over the waters. That means something. That's global. That's what I say to me. This dance here is global.
Right. It
travels every water this culture have been to.
Wow.
And have touched.
Yeah.
The unity. This when these pieces are found, when we long gone, this is what our story is about. Yeah. It's about what we did and the things that we tried to overcome that tell the story. The drum is in everything. Carlos gonna give it to you. Dr. Spivey is gonna give it to you, man, because he's a bad dude, you know?
Yeah.
And he do things like that.
Even stuff like this.
Hairstyle.
Or like you can see the kids back there sitting on the porch with the, you know, like, man.
There you go again. The woman is flying over mountains.
Yeah.
Heights. This culture has traveled to heights.
Yeah.
A little village culture that traveled to the heights. It's the most popular drum in the world right now, the djembe is.
Yeah.
You know, and we like to stand on culture because
Yeah.
we know that that is our story.
Right.
And it's a drum, it's a dance, and it's a song.
It's a song. Everywhere we go.
Everywhere we go.
Yeah.
And
That's why we control it though. We really control it because at the end of the day, we sing the songs.
Yeah, but we don't control nothing. See, that's the problem.
What you mean?
You have people that run an industry that control your culture. See, that's another whole conversation. You don't run your culture.
Right.
Because if you did, you'd be more empowered. It's people that control your culture. And they put on their airwaves what they want the population to hear.
Yeah.
It's called programming.
No, I'm talking about we control it by what we produce. Like if Brother Carlos didn't make these paintings, if he didn't produce this image, it wouldn't exist. Like if
No, because some other Africans is on the same level. Everybody is gravitating to a certain creative energy. You can find Carlos's energy if you go to New York or you go to Chicago.
Right.
There's a Carlos Spivey artist there doing this.
Right.
See, this village thing is international, is global.
Right.
Because everywhere you find Africans, they are doing this.
Right.
They are telling their story.
Right.
And we just be happy to tell our story right here.
Yeah.
So this culture becomes important because it's independent of what the status quo is doing. They're in the business of suppressing cultures. You see, but this culture here thrives because, you know, black seeds keep on growing. And the power and the might of the oldest people on the planet, which is just that, they will survive. No matter what, you know, oppressor,
right.
No matter what system is thrown at these people, they're going to survive. And their culture is going to survive.
Right. So when did you come to the culture of drumming? You know what I mean? Or like, it was always something that you always thought about? Or
well, no, man. When I grew up, man, there was a cat on my block named Daryl Jackson.
Okay.
And his mama was an artist. And she wrote plays and she was very community oriented. And he was learning drums.
Oh, he was learning drums.
He was learning drums, and he had a house full of drums, and cats was over there learning and chopping. His name is Manyungo Jackson now. That's what he called himself. And he's a great musician, but he grew up on my block.
Right.
So I heard drums growing up, and I loved that. You dig what I'm saying? But then I had to travel. I had to go, you know, halfway around the world and back to understand that the drum was calling me, and I had to be a part of that.
Wow.
But I had to travel. I had to see how black people lived in South America. I had to see how black people lived in Central America. I had to see how black people lived in Europe. And I had to ultimately go to Africa to see how black people live at home.
Now you just got up and traveled, or like what just?
No, this was like anthropological. You dig?
Hold on, I know a little bit of your story now. Was this before the military or after?
Well, the military was, I volunteered to go to Vietnam because of the pressure of living on these streets. But that was something else. But I traveled extensively on my own.
Okay.
But the military helped me because it showed me how easy it was to travel and get around.
Right.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And so I liked traveling. Then I had a chance to see, you know, because I always wanted to see how other black people was living outside. So I went to Belize.
Right.
You dig what I'm saying? Colombia.
Right.
You know, I've been to all throughout Europe. Been to Africa. I've been to Mali. I've been to, Senegal, Ghana, Angola, South Africa, Ethiopia. You understand?
No, wasn't nothing like LA though.
Well, this is it right here. This is the taproot for me.
For me too. I
But
believe it.
LA happens to be the farthest outpost from Africa. We are so far west from Africa that when you get to Venice Beach, that's the end. You have to start east again. That's how far west we are.
Right.
We are the farthest outpost of black people from Africa living in Los Angeles. And Los Angeles was founded by Spanish-speaking Africans that came up here and settled and founded this place.
Yeah.
Also San Diego, also San Francisco, and also San Jose. And a lot of black, smaller areas like Val Verde and like up in Tulare County,
Yeah.
where they had the good colonel up there that Allensworth, you know. So black people, the state is named after a black woman. We've been here, and our president's been here a long time. We didn't just come here.
Right.
We was here before, long before anybody else here in North America.
What about, so that's good, because that's good to know. So like,
Even before the so-called Indians
Right.
that came here, black people was here.
that's what I was about to ask you, because I was about to say, so what drum traveled with them? Because I know about the Lakota people and
Well-
certain other tribes I can't think of right now.
Well, you know, there's been
Yeah.
anthropological finds that
Olmecs and stuff
the
like that.
Africans play all kind of drums.
All kinds of
So you might be looking for like a wooden drum, you know, with a skin on it. But, you know, there's clay pots that the Africans play that make sounds.
Right.
So it was in the pottery. It ain't, Africans make water drums. They play calabasas in water that sound like drums. They play the water and it sound like drums.
Yeah.
So you can't say, you know, what drum came here. The Africans definitely created a sound here because my ancestors brought blues music here. You dig?
Yeah.
Which became the greatest music in the world. And
Right.
a lot of music evolved out of that. You understand what I'm saying? Rhythm and blues, jazz, gospels, all of that came from the creative energy of our ancestors to give us, you know, because the horrendous nature of a slave system, the Africans had to sing because that's all that they had was their song. So that's where you get this great music that America has and claims, you know, that is theirs, but it's actually what happened to us, we sung it in song because we had no other weapons. We had no weapons. And all the tools that we created here, because they gave us no tools, no clothes,
Right.
and you had to go out and work from can't see in the morning to can't see at night. So you created all your tools. You see what I'm saying? And you sung these songs that became, global.
Yeah.
There are songs that we created here in our struggle here that are sung all over the world. We shall overcome. They sing that in every country that's struggling for equal rights and justice right now. That's just one.
That's just one.
But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
our story is a universal story here, and it's being told. And then the piece that always ignites the fire is the drum, the dance, or the song.
Yeah.
And everything is right there in that trinity because that's going to be your story.
Right.
At the end of the day, that's your story.
Yeah.
What they celebrate.
Yeah.
What songs did they sing?
Yeah. Listen, man, Baba J, he do this about all kind of history, man. Like, I remember one thing he said one time. I didn't even know at this point. I'm grown. It was the almanac. You know, when he was talking about agriculture and the almanac, I was like, "What you mean?" He was like, "Man, that was a black person." You know, the clock.
What he's talking about is our great brother Benjamin Banneker that has a small little room inside of the White House. They gave him a little tiny room, but this brother here was a designer of what you see in Washington, D.C. today. And he made the first striking clock in America, and he also gave them the first almanac, the ability to know when the sun is, when it's time to plant, when the seasons are. That brother, Benjamin Banneker, and we believe he was Malian. We believe he came definitely from West Africa, and we believe he was a Malian by his name, Banik. And so we think that he was a Malian because, you know, the science of the Africans in Mali from the Dogons who flee from Kemet, cross the desert and establish a high astronomical science, those brothers right there. So we believe that he is a part of that Malian dynasty of greatness that ended up in the slave system and giving us the first striking clock, the first almanac, and the design of what you see, because the Europeans that came here, that's what they were. They were Freemasons. So the layout you see in Washington, D.C. is the compass and the square. And the streets are designed like a compass and a square. And they have a lot of Freemason traditions that they did. Your first 7 presidents, 7 of the first 12 presidents was from Virginia, which was the biggest slaveholding state at that time. And they all were Freemasons. And they all practiced that. George was a Freemason. The Adams was Freemason. Jefferson was a Mason. They all practiced that tradition, which we know that Freemasonry originated in Kemet. We know that. So the practice that the Europeans took was emulating an ancient African culture, which the Europeans call Egypt. We call it Kemet. They were imitating those African cultures of old ancient days.
Right.
And they were imitating them in such a way, but they did not spread a trial of brotherhood. They didn't do that, which is what Freemasonry espouses. They came with wickedness and blood, and that's what make their whole. They flipped the whole Freemasonry thing upside down.
Yeah.
And it became, white supremacy. You dig? And that practice is what we are still under at this time, living up under a very strong white supremacist system that these people, the Europeans, are only 7% of the world's population. 7%, I said. That's not even 10%. But 7% of the people that live on this planet dominate 93% of the colored people. So how did we get here? History teaches us that these are things that you need to know and dig out and search out and figure out how can 7% dominate 93%.
Yeah.
In all facets of life. So that's a system that we trying to crack right now. It's a white supremacist system. And we're trying to crack it right now because we've been up under subjugation of that for over 400 years, 500 years here in the Americas.
Yeah.
So there's plenty work to do. That's why, when you got to that Ponty Pie, that just opened up a world to you.
Yeah.
A brand new world. And even inspired you to open up a business so you can reach out and, reflect your teachings to a greater community.
Yeah.
Which is important.
It is.
Because if you did not do that, you're not, practicing the laws of your ancestors. Remember this. The greatest community in America was burnt down in 1921. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Oh. They had 50 square blocks of black business. They had their own stock market.
Right.
They had their own schools.
Right.
They had their own libraries. They built their own homes in the foothills,
right,
so they could look at their businesses. 50 square blocks. And it was bombed. It was the first time they dropped an incendiary device on innocent people. 1921. So we talking about black genius when you get a chance to see black people develop a community, because we had the greatest civilization the world has ever known, which was Kemet.
Right.
And not only Kemet, but the whole Nile Valley complex from Kemet to Ethiopia to South Africa to Ghana to Mali.
Yeah.
The whole continent was highly evolved.
Yeah.
But with the, advent of Christianity from the Europeans, who we know that their religion sanctioned slavery.
Right.
We know that.
We know it.
Nicholas V, Pope Nicholas V, wrote a papal bull And the papal bull is what sanctioned slavery. He wrote the papal bull so that Portugal and Spain could go and sack any Africans that they ran upon and take all that they had because they considered them heathens. They considered them not human.
Right.
And so they had the right to go in and murder and pillage and just take whatever they wanted, which was humans at the end, which has been 2,024 years, because the calendar that we live up under now comes from Pope Gregory the Sixth.
Right.
He was a pope that created the calendar that we live up under right now. How you going to tell me that Julius Caesar and Augustus Caesar, they were powerful entities because they were Caesars. Right. They added their names to the calendar. How you going to tell me that September in Latin, which is 7, Sep, Oct is 8, but October's in the 10th month, September's in the 9th month, Deca, Nova is 9 and Deca is 10. How did these months end up in the wrong places? We're up under the Gregorian calendar.
Right.
And the Gregorian calendar, 2,024 years old. We're getting ready to make it 2025.
Right.
We're up under a European calendar.
We've been on
African calendar, the dates are way different.
Right.
I think it's 65 in Ethiopian calendar.
Right.
In the Kush calendar. The Kemetic calendar is even older than that.
Right.
So these pressures we live up under, all you end up at the end of the day, song, drum, and dance.
Mm-hmm. And to be clear, can you tell them why those are way older? Why is Kemet way older than 65?
I mean, well, we know that the brothers and Tom Mary and Kemet, they had a calendar.
Right.
That they had inside of one of the pyramids at Dendera. And the calendar gave the names to all of the stars, and it gave 12 exact houses, which was a celestial clock that these brothers invented.
Okay.
And so their timetable, actually the French came and cut that out, and you can find it in the Louvre right now. But that calendar, I mean, time.
Yeah, you got to get a timeline. You got to track where people was traveling, like
but we talking about time and the invention of time.
Right. So that means because
we
about artifacts.
We know that the what the Europeans call the Egyptian brothers, the Kemetic brothers, invented the 7-day week.
Right.
They came up with 60 minutes is an hour.
Okay.
Time.
The Kemetic folks.
The black folks.
We know that.
That's very important.
I know that. I know.
Well, I mean that, but folks don't know that.
They don't know that
because now we've been up under this Gregorian calendar for 2,024 years, about to be 2,025 years.
Right.
And they created a character that everybody's celebrating right now. They created that character in the year 4, because remember, there's no letter J's in the European alphabet until the 16th century. That's when the first time the symbol of the letter J has come up.
Right.
So a lot of the fallacies in their creation myths affects us a lot, because a lot of Africans are practicing European culture. And it's faulty, and it's misleading, and it's demonic.
But that's tradition, though. A lot of times people pass down tradition without even questioning it. Like, they don't even think about it. A lot of people don't even think about 60 seconds or who came with 7 days.
Where the clock come from, where the 7-day week come from, you know.
Yeah.
You know, these things are important because you're living up under that right now.
Yeah.
And you have to know that your ancestors, powerful and mighty and genius as they was, gave us this system. But the system has been corrupted for 2,024 years because we've been up under this white supremacist system.
What's that? That's what's this, AD?
AD.
Yeah,
right.
so it was still time before BC. You know?
Well, that's before Christ.
But that's what I'm saying. When you say
see,
2024, that's AD.
Yeah, that's AD. But that's how long we've been up under the European calendar.
Oh, okay.
Imagine that. I told you, Pope Gregory VI created this calendar
Right.
that we're living up under right now.
Right.
With all of its faults, and you got to have a leap year every 4 years. You know, the Africans said it's 365 and a quarter day.
Okay.
The Ethiopians say it's 13 months, not 12, 13 months.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this adaptation, and the Europeans' math, they learned math from us.
Right.
So their math, they wasn't good math students. And then the math that they did learn, they flipped it upside down and started doing very demonic things with the science. The science that the Africans was using was building monuments that you cannot decipher how they put it together. The astrological and physical and spiritual importance of these fabulous monuments that was built by our ancestors can't even be reproduced.
Yeah.
They can't even be reproduced. But this is the science that we're living up under now, which has been corrupted from that sacred, ancient science of the Nile Valley people.
Well, let me ask you a question, man, because Baba J can give us history all day. But let's talk about this, man, since we on ancient Kemet. Like this right here, when I think of ancient Kemet, a lot of these symbols come to mind. Can you talk to me a little bit about this piece and who this brother is?
This brother here, man, Ahmed Ali, he was a great brother. He lived up in Northern California. And like I say, when at the end of the day, when it's all told, it's what, you have left for the people to decipher and figure out.
Yeah.
But he was a great artist, and he gives us these powerful images, man. We got Moorish images in here, the ancient Moors. You got the Kemet. He loved Kemet, and and most of his art, he would always have Kemetic symbols and figures.
Yeah.
But he was a great artist that passed away. He's an ancestor now.
Yeah.
But he got robbed on the BART, and he was a right-handed artist. But when they robbed him, they cut his right arm in a way where he could not use it.
Right.
And he had to go in the hospital and get the arm sewed up. So he developed a left-hand technique so he could paint with both hands.
So is this some of the left-hand paintings?
This is the duality. This is both hands.
Dang.
This piece here, and that's why I love it so much, this piece is because he was able to draw with both hands now.
Right.
After they tried to rob him and they cut his arm up bad, he developed a two-hand art technique, and this is one of the pieces from that. And I'm proud to have it in my collection.
Man.
But yeah,
Man, that's...
I like your store. The store is important because it's a water hole for knowledge.
Right.
It's a water hole for, culture.
Right.
And you can still make you a few dollars off of it as well. The time taken, it's very important that we talk about these things because we're going to come to a time now where you have the white supremacists resurging. They're back in power now. Remember this, it was over 700,000 lives given up during the Civil War. The Civil War is an important part of history because you had two fractions. You had a fraction that wanted to have a slave nation, and you had a fraction that knew that these were inhumane practices and they could not sustain this experiment called democracy. So in the war, over 700,000 lives taken, the country severed apart. They amended the Constitution to give us the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments. No more slavery, the 13th Amendment. Equal rights and justice under the law, 14th Amendment. And the right to vote, the 15th Amendment. Primarily the southern states never got over the loss because it was the greatest wealth that they had ever accumulated. And they couldn't get over their losses. And now we, who were considered property, are now humans and have equal rights and justice under the law. They could not take that. And from that time, they had not gotten over the loss of their wealth. So now, here we are 170 years later, and the white supremacists are back in power now. You have a white supremacist at the helm of the country. And all of the different fractions of white supremacy are raising up, showing their heads. You have the richest man in the world at this time going over and supporting a German Nazi organization. This is some international business now. I'm talking about the richest man in the world going over here to Germany to a Nazi organization and showing his support and giving them money. White supremacy and its forces are rallying. And I already told you, 7% is the European percentage on this planet.
Right.
93% of us are subjugated under the throes of white supremacy, whatever system they want to call it, whether it's capitalism or socialism or...
Well, let me ask you something again, man, because we're going into 2025 as well. You know, how you feel about like technology and robots? You know, a lot of people don't talk about that, but you know, we see robots rolling down the street, man, cars driving themselves, you know?
People are quizzical at that, but I mean, this is the science of the Europeans. This is what they want to create.
Right.
You have to remember that. Who's creating this? Out of whose minds is this coming out of?
Yeah.
You know, they have created this mechanical system because, like I say, can you feed people? How hard is it with the technology and science? You have artificial intelligence, you have AI, you got geniuses now.
Right.
How hard is it to figure out how to feed everybody and house everybody?
Yeah.
Why ain't you on that?
What?
Why ain't you on balancing the levels of toxins in the air with your science from all of the wickedness that you're spewing on Mother Earth? How come you can't science up with your artificial intelligence and clean up all of the shit that you've created?
Yeah.
Dear white man.
Yeah. Well, you know, the earth has proven itself that he has a crazy way of healing itself.
Yeah, it does.
You know?
It does, but it's under the 2,024 years of European domination, the earth has suffered unlike ever before.
Right.
There's no clean water, no rivers or streams in North America.
None.
None.
Wow, you got to clean everything. Filter it out.
I mean, think about the water you drink.
Right.
And how much water costs.
Yeah.
And the science that they have put on water. Some of the water, smart water, I don't even know if you want to drink smart water. That shit is created. You know, I mean, I'm just saying.
Right.
It's important to recognize what the European culture is doing. I mean, you know, robots and all of that is an elimination of labor, of manpower.
Right.
If you want robotic power, now you using that to replace your manpower and your woman power.
Well, look, man, you always helping the community, right? You help the youth, you help anybody that's willing to listen, I would say. You know, so if you had the ears of some youngsters, probably like the age of like 15, 16, going to 18, or maybe like young adults, I'd say, like, you know, young adults transitioning into life. Like, what would your message to them be, since, you know, they see that we live in this world? Like, a lot of times growing up, we didn't see all this because we didn't have Twitter. You know, we didn't have, you know, these sites to where they showing everything that's going on in the world at your fingertips. You know, so what would your message be to the youth, to where, you know, how can they empower themselves, or how could they, you know, plan for the future to where they could try to be the exception to the rule, if you understand what I'm saying?
Very simple. I tell the youth, don't drink the Kool-Aid. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. The meaning by that is that we have people that have been duped and they have drank the Kool-Aid and they have lost their life drinking the Kool-Aid. We know that the Europeans came here and put blankets on Indians and that gave them smallpox that wiped their ass out. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. You see all this science around you, you can study it because the black man invented the computer. The cell phone was invented by a black man. 3D was invented by a black woman. So these things we have created. They have just taken them and used them for their, their cultural advantage, the way they want to shape up the things to be. Driverless cars, robotics and all of that, that's to eliminate human power, manpower and woman power. I say that don't drink the Kool-Aid because, these things, you hold them inside your head too long will give you cancer. That's radiation you holding in your hand. It's not a device, and they will never tell you how much radiation is being spewed from these things because it's harmful. And it's 5G, more radiation. 4G, radiation. 5G, more radiation. So with the new science comes a lot of other hazards with it. So you have to know how to make those adjustments. So, that's why you got the earbuds. You don't want to put the phone nowhere on your body because it's a radioactive device. Now, the cell phone and the thing that makes it possible is Coltron, which is what is being mined by children, slave labor, and all of the wicked vote trekkers from South Africa that's exploiting the Congo, which has all of the Coltron that you could want. And never forget about iridium from Haiti, an asteroid that is so powerful, so heat resistant, that they're exploiting the richness of the Haitians, subjugating them to nasty blood clot Frenchman, death to the Frenchman, because they subjugate our people in West Africa as well as in Haiti. But these powerful stones that the Africans have, these is just being subjugated by these Europeans, you dig? National language, there's 52 African nations. Of those 52 African nations, 29 of those 52 African nations' national language is French. The French is some nasty slave masters. And I say that, and I want you to take that into the 2025 and know that these slave masters that are over us, now they're not physical slave masters like our ancestors had to experience, they're corporate slave masters. So they are so wealthy that they're able to control us with toxins in the clothes, plastics in the food. They're able to control us in different ways because you have a corporation is nothing but a slave plantation to me. And every corporation is a huge, wealthy slave plantation. And they got all of the people working on the plantation in various roles. But you have to understand we're still up under white supremacy, and that's why I state these things. We started with what supports everything, what holds us together. What keeps us from all of the tyranny and all of the 500 years of oppression that's been put on us? Drum, song, and dance. That is what sustains us. That is what holds us. And those simple things take us into the future because the music that we create, the songs that we sing, and the dances that we do is what is being imitated by the whole world. Right here.
Man, there you have it, man. We have a lot of history lessons that was given today, man. We appreciate Baba J giving all his efforts that he do to help the community, help me, help the Lion Brothers Marketplace. He big up Ahmed Ali, big up Carlos, big
Shabaka on the jackets.
Man, come on,
hood love.
Man.
In the house.
Yeah, man. We just thankful for everybody to support us in the efforts to keep the culture and the community with us. And you already know what that means. Just keep going on and on and on and on. So when they think about us, remember song, dance, and
drum.
Can't forget the drum.
Drum, song, and dance, baby.
Thank you, man. Appreciate y'all.